Hi everyone. Today my team and me we are going to explain about the oil spill bioremediation. So this is my group member. So this is me Subhatra, Dishalini, Srineha and Keshwini.
Okay, next slide is about the introduction. So before we go into the process, let's first understand what oil spill bioremediation actually is. Basically, oil spill bioremediation is natural way of cleaning up oil pollution using microorganisms, especially bacteria. So when an oil spill happens, a large amount of petroleum hydrocarbon is released into the environment. So these hydrocarbon actually can causes harm to marine life, plants, animals, and even humans. What interesting is that some bacteria can actually use this hydrocarbon as a food source and also energy source. They obtain carbon and energy from the oil, just like how we get energy from the food we eat. So as the bacteria feed on the oil, they gradually break into simpler and harmless substances such as carbon dioxide, water, and also biomass. Because this process uses naturally occurring microorganism instead of using harsh chemical. So it is considered as an environmental friendly, effective solution in order to solve this problem. Now let's see how the whole process starts. So this first step is when an oil spills occur. This can happen due to the tanker accident, pipeline leaks, or offshore drilling activities. Once the oil is released into the environment, it's spread across the water or soil surface. So the oil contains different type of hydrocarbons such as alkanes, aromatic compounds, and also PAHs. So the problem is that many of these compounds is considered as a toxic for the marine aquatic life. So they can harm fish, marine organism, plants, even it can affect the water quality. So at this stage, the oil is still present in the environment and no degradation has taken place yet. So next we move on to the step two. So what happened is next, nature occurring bacteria in the environment begin to detect the oil. So these bacteria move toward the oil droplets and attach themselves to the oil surface. Example of these oil degrading bacteria included Physonomenus, Alcarnivorous, Bacillus, and so on. Some of them can actually produce biosurfactants. You can think that biosurfactants like a nature detergent. So they help to break down large oil droplets into the smaller droplet. So these make the process of degradation to become more easier by the bacteria. So next is step 3, hydrocarbon uptake. So after attaching to the oil, so the bacteria begin taking in the hydrocarbon. So in simple terms, the bacteria start absorbing the oil molecule into their cells. So since hydrocarbon contain carbon and also energy, so they act as food for the microorganism. Once the hydrocarbon enters the bacterial cell, so the bacteria can start processing them through their metabolic pathway. Next is step 4, which is enzymatic degradation. What will happen inside the cell? Specifically, enzyme begin doing the actual breakdown work. So these enzymes such as oxygenase and also dehydrogenase will convert the hydrocarbon into simpler compounds. So the hydrocarbon are first converted into alcohol, then converted into aldehydes, and finally into the fatty acid. Fatty acid then enter to the process called beta oxidation, which produce a compound as a acetyl coenzyme. You don't need to remember every reaction, but the important point is that complex oil molecules are gradually being converted into simpler molecules that bacteria can be used. So next we move on to the step 5, which is energy production. So acetyl coenzyme that produced in step 4 by the beta oxidation actually will enter to the Krebs cycle or TCA cycle. So what will happen inside this cycle is bacteria will generate ATP. So it considered as main source of energy for the living cells of that bacteria. So once energy is used for the important cellular pathway, so what will happen is it will favor the situation for the bacteria in order to grow more fastly and healthily. So what will happen is the number of organism will be increased. So we can increase the effective of bio remediation to be occur more effective and also faster. So next is mineralization step. So what will happen is this step is actually considered as last stage. So this stage where the hydrocarbon are completely broken down into harmless and products. So under the aerobic condition, meaning that oxygen is present, so the final product are carbon dioxide, water, and also biomass. Under anaerobic condition, where oxygen is absent, So final product are carbon dioxide, methane, and biomass. At this point, the toxic oil pollutants have been transferred into simpler and safer substances. So this makes the successful cleanup of the contaminated environment and shows how the microorganism actually can naturally help restore the ecosystem if affected by the oil spills. That's all. Next, I would like to pass to my other friends.
There are two methods in bioremediation process. First is biostimulation and the second one is bioaugmentation. Biostimulation method is where the activity of indigenous or naturally present microorganisms that can degrade pollutants are enhanced by adding nutrients such as nitrogen or adjusting environmental conditions. Bioaugmentation is the addition of selected high-performance oil-degrading microorganisms into a contaminated environment because natural microorganisms are insufficient or too slow. Biostimulation application include adding fertilizer containing nitrogen and phosphorus to the affected area to stimulate naturally existing oil-degrading bacteria such as Pseudomonas so that it can break down petroleum hydrocarbon faster. There are a few advantages of using biostimulation process. First, using native microbe does not lead to ecological disruption caused by introducing foreign species. Next, the ecological compatibility is higher because indigenous microbes are already adapted to local temperature, salinity and pH conditions. Besides that, it is also environmentally friendly as it does not use chemical treatment. Biostimulation process also minimizes the cost since it does not involve cultivating and transporting microbes. There are a few limitations of biostimulation process. First, the absence or limited microbial population reduces effectiveness of degradation. Next, excessive amount of nitrogen or phosphorus may cause eutrophication in aquatic systems. Bioaugmentation application is using cultured oil-degrading bacteria such as Rhedococcus or Pseudomonas strains to accelerate the breakdown of complex oil compounds. Advantages of bioaugmentation include faster pollutant degradation when native microbes are not capable or less efficient. Next, the strains can be selected or engineered for specific hydrocarbon or toxic compounds. Bioaugmentation can also be combined with biostimulation to improve overall efficiency. Limitation of bioaugmentation include low survival rate due to introduced microbes having to compete with native microorganisms or harsh environmental conditions. Bioaugmentation also costs higher because it involves cultivation, scaling and transport of microbial cultures.
So now I would like to present why bioremediation is effective. First of all, bioremediation is considered effective because it uses natural biological processes to remove pollution, especially oil contamination. One of the main reasons for its effectiveness is that microorganisms are able to use oil as a food source. The hydrocarbons found in oil act as both a carbon source and also an energy source for this microorganism. As a result, they naturally metabolize this compound for growth and reproduction. While doing so, they gradually break down the pollutant. This means the oil is not only just removed physically but actually consumed by living organisms, which makes the process more efficient and natural. In addition, bioremediation is highly effective because it achieves a complete breakdown of pollutants. Unlike many physical cleanup methods that only transfer oil from one location to another, bioremediation actually destroys the pollutant through biological metabolism. The hydrocarbons are broken down step by step through a metabolic pathway, starting from hydrocarbons, then converting into fatty acid, followed by acetyl-CoA, and finally producing carbon dioxide, water, and microbial biomass. These end products are far less harmful and are naturally integrated back into the environment. So overall, this process ensures that pollution is not only moved around but completely eliminated in a safer way. Now, besides being effective in breaking down pollutants, bioremediation also offers important environmental and economic benefits. Firstly, it is environmentally friendly because it relies on natural biological processes instead of harsh chemical treatments. Because of this, it produces minimal secondary pollution, meaning it does not generate additional harmful waste during cleanup. It also causes less disturbance to ecosystems, allowing natural habitats to recover more effectively. In addition, it helps preserve biodiversity, ensuring that aquatic life, soil organisms, and plants are less affected compared to conventional cleanup methods. This makes bioremediation a much greener and more sustainable solution. Secondly, bioremediation is also cost effective. It generally requires fewer chemicals, less specialized equipment, and lower labor costs. Since the process mainly depends on natural microbial activity, there is less need for expensive machinery or intensive manual work. This makes it a more economical option, especially for our large-scale environmental cleanup projects.
Next, bioremediation is effective because microorganisms can reach hard to access areas. Unlike physical cleanup methods, microbes are very small and can move through soil pores, sediments, and even tiny oil droplets. This is important because after an oil spill, oil does not only stay on the surface, it can go deep into soil and marine sediments. So, bioremediation allows a more complete and effective cleanup compared to any other mechanical methods. Next, bioremediation is also a self-sustaining process. Once the environment is suitable, the microorganisms start to grow naturally and increase in population. As long as oil is present, they continue breaking it down without the need for constant human intervention. So this makes it a long-term and low-maintenance solution for oil pollution. One of the real-world examples of bioremediation is the Deepwater Horizon oil spill in 2010 in the Gulf of Mexico. This was a major offshore oil spill where large amounts of crude oil were released into the ocean and spread across surface and deeper waters. After the spill, native oil degrading bacteria naturally increased in number and began using the hydrocarbons as a source of energy. So these microbes broke the oil down into simpler, less harmful substances like carbon dioxide and water, especially in deep ocean areas that were difficult to clean manually. Over time, this natural bioremediation process significantly helped reduce the oil pollution alongside other cleanup methods as well.